A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but ranking every MCU TV show from worst to best after watching Daredevil Born Again. In dead last place is still She-Hulk. I'm sorry, this show is just absolutely painful to get through. I gotta be honest, I've never actually finished this. I could only make it through about 5 episodes of this thing, and it was so painfully unfunny. I didn't laugh at like a single joke. I just couldn't force myself to do it anymore. I knew I wasn't going to like it any more than I did. Like, the comedy and the tone of this show in general feel like it's forced so incredibly hard, like they're trying to make something absolutely hilarious, but it ends up having the absolute opposite effect because this thing is really just terrible to get through. At number 10, I'm going with Secret Invasion, which absolutely breaks my heart. I love Nick Fury. I thought, oh my god, he's getting his own show. We're adding Emilia Clarke, who is from Game of Thrones, if you didn't know. I love her as an actress. I was like, the potential is here. We're going for a more serious spy thriller, and it started off okay for the first 2 episodes and then completely just falls off the rails. Right from episode 1, you kind of know when they kill off a main character just for shock value that they're already up to some shenanigans, but the second we start getting into the actual scroll like main plot line in this, it's so clear they had no idea what to do with it. Like, honestly, what on earth was even Gaia's character, her becoming this like super scroll? Literally the biggest just jumbled garbage I've ever seen in my life. They're like, you know what, we have no idea what to do, just give her every power to ever exist, and we're probably never going to see her again in the MCU. Never felt like an actual spy political thriller. It felt like a CW version of it that just didn't know how to get that serious tone back from the Winter Soldier. Speaking of things that feel like a CW show at times, I have number 9, Echo. I'm sorry, she was a cool character in the Hawkeye TV show, not a character with enough lore or an interesting storyline to make into her own TV show, or maybe she does have an interesting storyline in the comics, but they did not pick it for this show. This is one of the most forgettable things I've ever seen in my life. I actually forget it exists and that I watched it every time until I like end up looking at my list ranking. It billed itself as being like, oh yeah, we're the prestige television show. We're gonna have really dark and gritty moments and really intense fight scenes. And yeah, some of the fight scenes are fine, but it is definitely not a prestige television show. The second you're away from Echo herself, focusing in on like her family and stuff, again, it feels like a CW show, a complete miss by them. A quick PSA, by the way, I'm only doing live action MCU TV shows that were made on Disney Plus, so I'm not doing like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, X-Men 97, or What If in this. At number 8, I have Miss Marvel. For what this show is and the target audience is going for, which is definitely a way younger demographic, it's perfectly fine. It has some very cute humor. I do think she's very charming as this version of the character, and yeah, the story is kind of small scale, focusing more in on the family aspect, which I actually do think really worked well in this. It's nothing super remarkable, but it's definitely worth your time if you're just like desperate for more MCU content and you haven't checked this out for some reason, because I'm sure she is going to come back hopefully at some point in the MCU, and I really hope she does. I mean, again, there's some cringy moments because it's very obviously for a younger audience, but it's an enjoyable enough time. Number 7 is definitely another major jump up in quality. I have Agatha all along. This is very hard carried by Kathryn Hahn being incredible as Agatha and Aubrey Plaza being incredible as Rio, or spoiler alert, Death in this. I think the dynamic between them and the history there, and it's like, oh, that's unfolding every single week, finding out more and more about their past. I thought that worked really well. I really like the concept too of like, oh, it's a new witches challenge on the witches road every single week. I feel like some weeks though, it didn't really capitalize on how interesting that concept was. Kind of phones it in, especially in comparison to like WandaVision, which is obviously heavily tied to because of Agatha herself being from WandaVision. But overall, this was a very fun show. Again, probably not really for me. I wasn't like the target demographic, but it had its enjoyable moments. At number 6, I have WandaVision. Now, put down your pitchforks. I still do enjoy this show, and at number 6 and above are all like the really solid ones that we have in the MCU so far, which it's kind of sad that they only have like 6 that I can even say are good or better. Obviously, one of the most creative things the MCU has ever done, besides the final like 2 episodes, which is really what knocks it down a lot. I think the finale is actually pretty bad overall. I hate how it just turns into this big CGI fight at the end. But you do have to applaud, like I said, this is probably the most creative thing the MCU has ever done with like the different eras of the different sitcoms and TV shows for the first couple weeks. That was something really refreshing, and this time in MCU history, watching these episodes as they came out was truly something I'll never forget. And it really let Elizabeth Olsen really just flex her acting skills and say, yeah, I'm straight up one of the best actors in the entire MCU. Her as Wanda is genuinely incredible. I really hope she comes back, but it's looking more and more likely that she is actually done with the character, which I think killing her off in Multiverse of Madness is just such a weird decision. But I do hope we see her back in the MCU because she was incredible in this show. At number 5, I have the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Kind of a guilty pleasure for me having it up this high. I simply just love the dynamic between Sam and Bucky so much. I would watch like 10 hours of them just doing anything together. So even though this show I think is honestly probably worse overall than WandaVision, I kind of enjoy it more anyways. Like, yeah, Carly's a super weak villain. To make up for it, you have John Walker, who's a super interesting new character in this, adds a great dynamic between just the public and Captain America and Sam Wilson's relationship with Captain America that I honestly wish they kind of saved some of this stuff more to get into in Captain America 4, because I think this honestly handles the issues a lot better. At number 4, I have Moon Knight. I feel like I keep seeing people on Twitter now like turn their backs on this, be like, oh yeah, that show is just a complete waste. It completely missed the point of the character. Garbage television show. I've seen a couple of rankings of people having this towards the bottom of their MCU TV series. I don't know what you guys were watching. Just because it's been a couple of years since you watched it doesn't automatically make it bad. I really enjoyed this show. I think Oscar Isaac is incredible as all the personalities he has to pull off in this. I love kind of getting into this world. The lore of the character is super interesting. And no, I don't think it fully capitalizes a lot. I think it kind of holds back in some areas. It goes a little bit too easy on the action sequences since a lot of them literally he blacks out during and you don't even see the fight scenes. But I still really love this world. I hope we get to see more Moon Knight in the future, and I hope they greenlight a season 2, even though it seems very, very unlikely right now. At number 3, I'm going with Hawkeye. I used to have this a little bit lower, but I gotta be honest with myself and bump it up to here. I absolutely love this show. It's one of the only MCU TV shows I've actually rewatched multiple times. Like, I think I've seen this 3 times in total, because I just absolutely love the wintry, street-level vibes of this, the Christmas vibes I'm a sucker for. I love the dynamic that we have between Kate and Clint in this mentorship they have going on. I really loved it, and I'm someone that never cared about Clint or Hawkeye in the MCU. I was always buying into the jokes, like, yeah, he's the boring, lame one, but this was his element, and I really love seeing him in this role. I like the way all the different villains and kind of cameo characters are handled. Like I said, I love Echo in this TV show. She just doesn't have a good TV show on her own. Yelena, when she comes into this, is cool. You get the swordsman. Really just a super solid TV show overall. At number 2, I have Daredevil Born Again. Like I said, I'm only doing Disney Plus TV shows in particular, so I'm not including any of the Netflix series in this. But it's kind of sad that this is easily the worst out of any of the Netflix seasons, and it's still number 2 in the MCU, because I do think this did overall do a good job at capturing the essence of the original show, even though it clearly missed in a lot of areas. All the problems pretty much come down to the fact that this was cobbled together by 2 different creative teams. One is like the original creative team. They came in after this was a disaster. Like, let us fix this. They redid episode 1, and they did episodes, I believe, 7, 8, and 9, or just 8 and 9, and they're going to be working on season 2. So the rest of the episodes in the middle do kind of feel out of place now, but I do think there are some really solid moments in those still. Matt, Kingpin, Bullseye, absolutely incredible in this season. I do think a lot of the new characters are a big miss, but I'm willing to forgive it for all the great moments we got with the core characters that I do really care about. I think Muse was a super cool villain that I feel like was definitely underutilized, but it seems like he's going to be back in more of a supernatural form in season 2. I didn't even like super love the finale like everybody else did, but I thought it was like a solid 8 out of 10 episode, and overall a very good TV show. Before I give you my number 1, let me know your ranking of either all of these that you've seen, or you can just give me your top 3 in the comments below too. My number 1 still has to be Loki. I think season 1 and 2 are absolute masterpieces of superhero television. The ending of season 2 is still the best episode of any MCU TV series we've gotten yet. Fight me in the comments below. Tom Hiddleston understands his character so perfectly, and I was super worried when they announced this show. I was like, they're gonna ruin his arc he had between the first Avengers movie and the Thor films and all that, all the way through Avengers Infinity War, but no, they only elevated this character even more. I don't know how they did it, but it was a masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. I'm very sorry for the spotty uploads. I've been very sick this last week. You can probably still hear it a little bit now, but I'm fighting through now, getting better, and gotta make this video for you guys. I'd really appreciate if you checked out my ranking of every MCU movie released after Avengers Endgame. Click above me to check that out.